Hello and welcome back to Gotham Sounds coverage at NAB 2026. We are in the North Hall now, joined by Peter from Blackmagic Design.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. How about yourself?
Thank you for having us to your
been a
nice
day.
plush carpet
Hey.
in a nice quiet area. My voice and my ears are enjoying the break.
Great place to take a breather.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're excited to be here with you. Why don't you show us what you've got?
So this is our new Fairlight Live and Fairlight Live panels. So we have the 10, 20, and 40, the different variants of these panels. They can be used for doing live production audio. So everything does live in the computer. So it can be the Mac Mini, the Mac Studio, even so much as a MacBook can operate this. It doesn't require a lot of OS. And the thing that is catching most people off guard, because it is still a controller of sorts, where do I plug my audio in? It can be either your core audio from the Mac, so whatever I'm using for my Mac can be the sound source for the device, or I can use my ATEM microphone and MADI converters as well, and I can pair this with my ATEM controller. So I can use this just to be doing the audio while someone else is doing the video switching of my live broadcast, or I can use it standalone just for audio. So that's the cool thing, as with the Blackmagic way, there's no right way to do it. There's multiple ways that you could use these products.
So with the, so you say that it could be anything that the Mac is getting, right? So
Yeah, so it just operates off of the core audio. So any USB or Thunderbolt interface could be handling the audio in and outs of this. Exactly. So we don't make Dante products, but you could operate this using your Dante network by having the DVS installed on your computer. And if it's an institutionalized thing, the Dante Virtual Sound Card, if you have the Dante Domain Manager, you can actually transition that into a 2110 signal, which we do operate with 2110 signals. So there's ways to get around that as well. But if you're just doing it with this way, you can just download DVS and get around it the easy way.
And then, so how does this connect into the Mac?
So it just connects over Ethernet. So everything we do is Ethernet connection. So it's the same way that your ATEM would connect, this will connect in. And because it's proprietary, made by us, for us, you connect it, you tell the software that you're using the hardware panel, and it automatically just spills out. It knows what to do.
And so, and you have to have the Mac going.
You do have to have a Mac.
Okay.
There is no brain in here. There's no computer inside the machine itself. It's fully operating software off of the brain power of the Mac. Yeah, come on in here. If anyone's familiar with DaVinci Resolve, in the Fairlight page of Resolve, we have essentially cherry-picked that page out of Resolve, added a little bit more to it, and thrown it in a standalone package software so that it can be used in this scenario without needing the rest of the post-production pipeline.
So the other, and forgive me, I am not familiar with the video side
No worries
of things.
at
But
all.
so the video component, can that run off the same Mac, or do you need two different computers, or how does that
So my
work?
understanding is at the moment they do want you to have a separate Mac for your video component and your audio component. I assume that may change in time. The main thing to keep in mind of this is a pre-production unit. This is a beta version of the software. So it is brand new. This came out of the box. We put the panels on before the show floor opened. So these are not out there yet, but we're hoping for a July, August time frame. So by then, the functionality will be fully dialed in, and we'll be able to know exactly what it does. Right now, we're kind of relying on the beta users to go through this. So if you're doing live sound at home, download our free beta software. Let us know what's wrong with it. Let us know what you find, what you wish it did, and that's the time to make those changes before it goes to public release.
And is this, how is this powered? So it connects via Ethernet, but how is
The
it
power
powered?
itself is IC, so just main powered on the back. I don't want to spin it too much and make any too crazy, but if you want to get a peek at the back here, IEC cables. You have a little bit of audio I/O for talkback, for speakers. You should be able to see the back there. I don't want to damage anything. There we go. So you got two microphone ins. You have the microphone outs for your speakers. You have a HDMI out for the monitoring. And then you have your multiple Ethernets, so you can daisy chain your Ethernets while you're connecting. And, of course, on the front, you have your headphone port as well.
Got it. Okay. And is this, I mean, this is a big, beautiful screen. Is it a touch screen?
It is touchscreen.
Okay.
Right now, it's only touchscreen on certain windows. Like, for example, there you go. That is something that is going to be implemented more as the beta firmware unrolls. But it is a touchscreen panel in general, so you'll be able to do more with that in time.
And it seems like it has some, I see there's some compressor limiters built in.
Yeah. So it's the full Fairlight workflow built into the live scenario. So again, you can do this all the way down to a MacBook. The more you have with CPU, the more obviously you'll be able to do with that because it is running the computer in live audio. So you are pulling processing power. But the cool thing is, I mean, we're using 27% of one core processor out of 10. So we're even in the session that we have here, which is our live air hockey game, we're barely taxing this machine, and it's a Mac Mini. So you don't need to go too crazy. But with that, yes, so you have your channel controls, you have your EQ controls. So this is the full Fairlight pipeline just built into this right here. So we're doing a live mix. Obviously, we want to EQ those sound signals that are coming in, so I can do everything right here on the board. But I don't have to. It is all up here as well, which is why people can beta test the software without having the hardware. But this just gets it hands-on, makes it quicker. Obviously, if you're doing a real live production, you're going to want your hands on the tools. But everything that we are manipulating here is just manipulating the FPGs. It's all software-based. It's going off of the Mac. So we have our EQ, we have our compression, we have our gate and expander, limiter, third-party plugins that you could add into this live pipeline. You can do panning in your live pipeline, including even surround sound panning. So depending on what the installation is, you could put this in an art installation and do an Atmos mix live if you wanted to. And then it just goes through our assigning, which we're going to send our buses. What do we want to send where? Back to the home page to just give you an overview of everything that's going on your session.
And then you've got your transport controls up here.
Exactly, yes. And this is... as they get bigger, a little bit more packaging comes in there, but we can layer through. So even the smaller mixer here, we have banks and banks of channels that we can go through, and the different snapshots you can save, different cues you can bring in. You have your whole control room panel here, so you have a little bit more.
And it's 10 faders? 10 faders on the small
10
one?
10 faders per bank, yes. So it's going to be the 10, 20, and 40. There's no 30 iteration, at least at this time. But 10 at a time, and then as you go up to the larger ones, you'll notice on the right-hand side, it's your left bank is your live bank, your right bank is your master bank, and so if you go up to the very larger one, same thing. You have your 3 banks of live action and your master bank on the right.
Got it.
Whereas over here on the single bay, it's only 1 bay, obviously, so this is going to act as your master fader and your live bank of fader, whereas these also, because it's customizable, this could just be 2 banks of live fader if you wanted to. That doesn't have to be the master view. We just find that it's helpful.
Got it. And so, so it's only Mac. Are there plans for PC or any other operating systems? Or
I don't know that it is only Mac.
Okay.
That's kind of what we use.
I see.
If it is at the moment, I would be surprised if it's always going to be. I haven't heard anything either or on that. But we're not known for being only one of anything.
Right.
So I would be surprised if I didn't hear that this is going to unfold to Windows and Linux if it doesn't already work on those things.
Very cool. So a couple of questions coming in. Do you know what the power draw is for this? I know it's AC.
Oh, I have no idea.
No idea.
We could find that information.
All right, Peter has a follow-up question. Hold on. Let me get Peter from behind the camera. I'm going to give him his mic. There you go. All right, Peter from behind the camera.
So my follow-up question is, if enough customers were to request a DC-powered version of the small control surface, would Blackmagic be open to listening to them?
It's not my place to say yes or no, but I would say that Blackmagic is known for listening to customer feedback. So if enough people said, hey, we want this thing, that is basically why this exists in the first place. Enough people came to us and said, hey, we're using your tabletop mixers and we're doing sound and video on the same box, and it's very awkward because we're having to share the box. Can you make us this, please? And so we did. So if enough people were like, hey, we wish this had a different thing, as long as it comes in enough times, it's going to make it to the list, and it's just a matter of where it fits on that list, really.
So the question is, can you talk about latency?
Latency, yeah, absolutely. And again, because it's running on the computer, there is no spec that I can give you specifically on that. It depends on your CPU. So obviously, we're going to recommend, hey, we trust Mac. We trust Mac Studios. Even if it's the Mac Mini, you got those silicon chips. They're quick. PCs, as long as they are fast, as long as they have enough CPU, as long as they have enough, all of the fun things. Where PC can fall short is They're customizable, so you can have all the fun new gadgets, but if you have the wrong processing thing or it doesn't talk correctly, you can stumble. If you know what you're doing, you can make a Fire PC. Cool, you're probably going to be okay. The reason why we tend to recommend Mac is it comes out of the box the way it is, and we know you're not going to have any issues.
Nice. Now, can we talk a little bit about the mechanics? Does this screen fold down or come off? Or how does
So
that?
it does not. That has been a question that has come up a lot. At the moment, it is what it is. That a lot of people have been asking that. If it just folds in for travel or something. So that wouldn't be something if I was surprised if maybe a future iteration, in a few years, perhaps has that. Who knows? But at the moment, it is one piece. It fully locks in. So limited in how much I can turn it, but you'll see, even though there's like air gap in the middle here, the sides are locked in. It's one back piece.
I see.
So
it comes in a large box.
Yeah, it comes in a box with the foam fitting specifically each piece.
And do you know, are there hard cases that are going to be made for this? Are you working with like SKB?
I would
or?
be surprised if there aren't.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a good handful of brands that make cases for all of our products, and I'm sure they'll be making them for these as well.
Great. And are there any auto feedback mechanisms built into the software? You know, if you're doing something live and you're getting ringing and all that?
I don't have the answer to that at the moment, but I can look into it and find out. I would imagine that's something that's probably going to be implemented kind of once it's actually used more. I don't know if it's in there yet, but I'd be surprised if it doesn't kind of make its way in at some point.
Very cool. Great questions from Kyle. And then our friend Almanox says they're so excited and they hope that it can feed into other panels for post-production audio. So, as of right now, it's tied to the Blackmagic software. Is that right?
So we tend to do things in a proprietary fashion, and so I would be surprised if it fully opens up to other panels. But a lot of things we do have open protocols, so as long as you know what you're doing, you could potentially make it work over the Mackie or Huey protocol, but you're probably not going to have a fantastic time unless you're very good at coding. So best thing to do is to just keep it in the ecosystem.
Yeah, got it. Okay. Cool. I mean, so the thing that we're thinking about, it seems every so often in the location sound world, something comes out that makes it so that people can record on a computer. And so right now there's Wild Tracks, which is a software that could record on Dante. There's obviously Dante to get things in. So potentially running Wild Tracks, running this, and then having a mixer, potentially with a DC mod or potentially with an inverter, making it 12 volts, taking it in the field.
But potentially, the thing with that is if you're going to be recording, you would essentially bypass the mixer anyway. Because unless you're just talking about, I'm doing this live production that I also want to record, then sure.
Right.
And then that's kind of where the ATEMs come in, your ISOs, your recording, and all of that. If you just are your field recording, with this panel specifically, you're going into the Mac. So your audio is coming into the Mac already. Why would you bring the panel?
Well, I mean, so when you're recording a film, for instance, right, you want to do a rough mix. You want to do a rough mix for the director. You want to do a rough mix for the editors and things like that.
So in that case, and then I would pair it with the ATEM because I'm assuming you're going to want to do a daily or something or a line cut for them to see. So you would get that live mix paired with your ATEM. It's going to be in your ISO file already.
Interesting.
So just one step ahead of even needing to go there.
Okay. Any more questions from behind the camera, Peter? Okay, great. This is great. I mean, a lot of positive comments on the feed, no real questions. But anyway, thank you so much, Peter, for taking the time with us.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Peter, from behind the camera. Thank you, everybody who is on the other side of the camera watching and everybody who commented. Please stay tuned for more live coverage from NAB 2026.